Hello and welcome to the Tome of Worms podcast. I'm Minty. I'm your host today, and sitting next to me, my old mate Pops. How you doing today, bud?
I'm alright, but I'm not really next to you, am I?
All right.
We're further away this time.
Oh, you always panicky, can you?
You're always grumpy old man, aren't I?
Always has to be upset. Everything else all right apart from not being sat next to me?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's great. We brought a new game, didn't we, this week?
Yes. We say game. I think it's going to become a new obsession for you.
It has been ever since I played Dungeon Bowl. I mean, I'll give it away now, haven't I?
Slightly. Would you like to tell everybody?
We got Blood Bowl second season. Sorry, not season 2, second season.
Mm-hmm.
With the Orcs. I mean, yeah, we're a bit late to the party because this came out like 4 years ago.
I think so, yeah. I think you're very excited to play as well, aren't you?
I think since started playing games and stuff, I feel like I'm more drawn to games with miniatures.
It's fair enough.
Whereas
and you like American football, so
I do.
American football and beating people up is pretty much...
So if you like American football and WWE, other wrestling promotions are available.
Of course.
Then Blood Bowl, I guess, is the ideal thing for you.
Absolutely.
So yeah, looking forward to getting stuck into that and playing. Are we going to do a little rule where if you win, then you get to paint your players, or are we just going to paint them?
Oh, they've got to do something. You know, the dystopian wars models, if they don't do anything, they don't get painted.
Yeah, I feel like I'll never get around to painting my models if I'll buy all this paint and everything and don't get to...
You should at least base them, you know.
Yeah.
Add a couple of extra stripes or a C
Yeah.
to a player's jersey.
Yeah, could actually do that, couldn't I? I'll think about it.
We'll see. Well, enough of Blood Bowl for now. I'm sure we'll be doing an episode at some point on that one. This week, Pops, we're doing something slightly different. And I told you about this about 5 minutes ago that we were doing it in this order. Today, we are going to do a Christmas episode where we talk through... I've been asked so many times about what games we recommend to buy people, or my so-and-so's got this type of game and he wants another game like that. What can I get? I was like, well, maybe we do an episode like a buyer's guide for people. So we've got quite a few categories that we're going to go through. I think I've got 2 or 3 in each category. Just tell you a little bit about them.
I've got a couple of games, 2 players, maybe a couple of party games when you got the family round as well. And over the holiday period, as they say.
Yeah, so originally we were going to release this one in December, and then we thought better not. This should give you enough time, and hopefully, you know, if my editing skills are good enough, it'll be out before December, and you might be able to get stuff in Black Friday sale.
Yeah, but then it is also useful that, you know, if you get a load of cash or vouchers over Christmas, you're lucky enough to treat yourself, then go ahead, get yourself a game in the January sales.
Absolutely. Right. We'll start these buyer's guides today by looking at 2-player games. So that one's a Pop special.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing what you've got down.
What I've got down. So, obviously, first of all, Blood Bowl.
Obviously.
Could you move it out to more people? I don't think... I mean, you could have someone moving the referees around to pretend to be like that.
Well, I suppose if you do like a game of Blood Bowl, still 2 players, isn't it?
Yeah. So, you know, you're just doing two-player, you and your friend, you and your partner, or whatever, go against each other, smash the hell out of each other, and have a couple of drinks while you're doing it. You know, so yeah, Blood Bowl is probably up there as the first 2-player game that I'd go with. It's endless as well. You can play. You could play a couple of games throughout the night and have 3 or 4 different teams. So my 2-player games. I've got a couple of these. One of them I've never heard of before, but I read about it and I thought this sounds quite fun. So first of all, 7 Wonders Duel.
Yep.
It's a good 2-player game, but this is, as usual, the Lord of the Rings variant, because everything has to be Lord of the Rings variant, my side of things. isn't just a simple pace and theme. It's not just the same. You got a map of Middle Earth, and you send your armies and path ring bearers, and on you go on your little travel. So yeah, for a 2-player game, I thought that would be up there with mine. Probably not going to be too expensive. I'd probably say around 20 quid, 30 quid. I mean, while I'm talking gibberish, Minty's going to have a look and see what deals we can get on games. Yeah, it's more for the older game. You're not, ages 10 plus. They recommend. You're not really going to be playing it with your 2-year-old kid. That's for sure. And it's a must for anyone that is a massive Lord of the Rings fan as well.
So online, according to board game prices, it's anywhere between £19.50 and £33.60.
So that's quite reasonable if you can get it at that lower end over Christmas. I think, everyone's kind of a bit more stretched for money these days, so you don't want to be spending £30-40 on a game that some old man's gone, I quite like the sound of this game.
All the prices we're going to give today are not including delivery.
Mm-hmm.
So the £19.50 does not include the £6 the company charge for shipping it.
So you're looking around 25 quid, 25 to 30 quid for that. So that's not too bad. Second in my list, and it was very, very close to being top, is Sky Team. I've seen this everywhere on social media recently. You and your co-pilot have got to land the plane safely. So it sounds like there's something a bit fun about that, kind of working together in a co-op way. You'll roll 4 dice and you need to play them in specific locations in the cockpit. With limited communication, you need to do your best to anticipate your fellow players' actions. So there's a little bit of what's going on in that. I think it's going to be really fun. Visually, it's great.
It's me and my wife have played this. It's really good fun. We weren't sure about it first, landing a plane, but actually it's really good. You have to kind of think about what number of dice you're going to do. There's so many things you have to do, and there's 7 or 8 scenarios as well that make it harder as you go through.
Mm-hmm.
But we failed the first scenario first. You need to make sure your landing gear's down. You need to make sure you're not tilting. You need to make sure there's no more air traffic, before you get there, kind of thing. And then there's a weather expansion that completely throws a spanner in the works. But yeah, this one's been top of Board Game Geek for God knows how long for 2-player games, and at the expo couldn't get near it.
Yeah, we wanted to go and have a look, didn't we, while we were there, and there was no point.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's up there, definitely for a 2-player over Christmas.
And especially for those prices.
Yeah.
And some board games are really expensive.
Yeah, like that. I think it's quite a cheap game. I have seen it on Temu before.
Yeah. Whether it comes and it's
whether it is real, who knows?
Yeah. We shall wait and see on that one, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And then my third game is a game called Sail.
Ooh.
I've never heard of this one before, but it's a 2-player trick-taking game. So your task, you and your partner, with navigating across the waters and avoiding the deadly kraken, and we don't mean the drink.
That can be deadly too.
You could have some kraken whilst you're playing, I would imagine. Each round, 2 cards are played to a trick, and the action of your ship is based on the combination of the cards. So it sounds quite a nice game. Be a nice gift for someone if they like card games as well. From reading it, I think we should play it at some point. It kind of seems like our kind of game. And the art on it is really, really fantastic. It's by Weberson Santiago. He did all the artwork for it. And if I bring up some stuff, I mean, you're showing me on a really small screen, and it's really tiny. Yes, that is it. The artwork is pretty good, isn't it?
It's quite nice. Yeah, kind of watercolory kind of.
Yes.
from looking at it, everywhere's selling it for about £15.50.
That's my budget game of the year.
We'll give that a go at some point.
And if you do like Weberson Santiago's artwork, I suggest you go check out his website. Fantastic, really colourful, some mystical, some really thought-provoking artwork.
Really nice.
He does stuff for children's books and board games.
Nice. I think what I've liked to see recently is some of the artists are now getting more acknowledgement for their work on board games. I know there's some. The first games I really saw it on were Medusa games, where they actually attribute the artist on the box, not just in the rule book.
Mm-hmm.
It is becoming a thing now, and I know game designers are asking for their names on boxes now as well, which is nice. It's good to see.
Yeah, so those are my 3 2-player games.
The next category we're going to do is kids games. Having a 4, nearly 5-year-old has helped me with this one quite a lot. All the games I'm going to talk about, I've actually played, and these are games I really recommend. The first one I'm going to talk about is Mysterium Kids. Captain Echo's Treasure, just in case another one ever comes out and you're listening to this in the future. This is a kids version of the board game Mysterium, with a few variants to it to make it more accessible to kids. I've got written down for all of my games here the synopsis of the game from Board Game Geek. Most of these are done by the publishers, so I'm just going to read those out and then just talk a little bit more in depth about my play experience with these kind of things. So Mysterium Kids. Players cooperate to find Captain's treasure before the moon has travelled across the sky and the night is over. Each round, one player becomes the ghost captain. The ghost must use a tambourine to give clues that help the other players guess the correct noise card. If they do, they get to reveal a piece of the captain's treasure. So that's what it says on Board Game Geek about the game. So basically what happens is, I think it's 6 turns. And on a couple of the turns, it's 1 card that you have to find, and on other nights, it's 2 cards you have to find. So there'll be 5 cards on the board, and then you have to pick at random like a token, and it will say 1 to 5. And the person that draws that token then has to try and make the noise using the tambourine, and only the tambourine. But like, you can bang it on your edge, you can bang it on the table, you can scratch your fingers on it, whatever, as long as you use the tambourine. So like, we were playing, and there was a buzzy bee, so obviously you scratch your finger over it. But then the next one was chalkboard, so they scratch their finger over it. But it's quite creative. My little one loves it, and it's quite good fun. We love Mysterium as a game anyway.
Mysterium as a game is really, really fun
and very pretty.
I think to have it as a child's version, a kid's version as well, I think that adds another dimension.
Yeah. I did refrain from doing what I was going to do originally, which is just putting down all the kids' versions of games. I mean, there's My First Ticket to Ride, My Little Everdell.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few others as well out there that do those kind of games. I think there's a Junior Catan.
Yeah, there's Junior Carcassonne. There is Junior everything.
Most of them are really good adaptations of the game as well.
They just strip them down, don't they? I think they just make it a little bit more simple.
Nice and simple. It's like old school. Do you remember Monopoly Junior?
Yeah.
Where like it ends when you've bought everything on the board and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like just a bit more simple. So that one is averaging between £15 and £30 online, from what I can see. So that's the first one. The second one is a new game to us. We've been playing it loads lately. It's called Dodo.
Oh, yes, we posted a picture of this.
Yeah, it's by Cosmos Games.
Mm-hmm.
And the synopsis of the game is, by using teamwork, you can bring the rolling egg safely to the foot of the mountain. Quickly roll for building materials, collect hammers, nails, and attach bridges to the side of the mountain. If you manage to steer the egg to safety into the lifeboat, you've all won together. So it is a cooperative game. Basically what happens is there's an egg. It's like a big ball.
Mm-hmm.
And inside it there's a ball bearing that at different temperatures moves at different speeds. So no 2 game is ever the same. And you release it from the dodo nest. And what you have to do is you have to roll the dice, and there's 6 options on the dice. And then you have to flip over one of the tokens on the table, and if it matches the dice, or you pick up the little boy or the little girl on the token, you can add it to the pool on the bridges.
Mm-hmm.
So like level 1 just needs 1 token, level 2 needs 1 token, level 3 you start to need 2 tokens, that kind of stuff. And then you can attach it to the mountain. So I think there's 6 bridges you have to build, and then the lifeboat. So to build the boat at the bottom, you need to have 4 tokens to start with. If that becomes too easy, you can go into hard mode, which is there's extra places for skulls. So then, like the last one, the 6, instead of needing 3 to put the bridge in, you need 5, and to get the boat, you need 6 to build the boat. So it does have that upgradability as well if the kids start to get older.
Yeah, like what age is it aimed at?
Good question. I think it's 6+. It says on the box, but as I said, I'm playing it with a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Once they get the hang of it, it's just a bit stress inducing. If they start to throw the dice across the room, then you start to run out of time because that egg don't stop moving.
No. Gravity is not your friend.
Yeah, and if the egg's warm, it moves way quicker. We found out.
So don't play in the middle of summer.
Yeah. We played this one for the first time at the expo.
Mm.
We took a little one with us and played it there, and she enjoyed it. I mean, it is stress inducing. When that egg gets right towards the end, you find yourself shouting at each other to make sure the dice stays on the table, and you're trying to put the bridge on while rolling the dice and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's good fun. We found it really good fun. We've played it quite a few times now over the last few weeks.
I feel like I want to play this game.
Oh yeah,
I want to have a go.
absolutely.
It's not just for kids. Don't forget, these games aren't just for kids.
Yeah,
They might be marketed as kids games, but they're not.
I've found that some of these kids games, especially this one and the next one I'm going to talk about, you can use as like an icebreaker for a games night.
Mm-hmm.
A nice quick, everyone has to get involved with each other talking about what's going on. This one comes in at about £22 to £30. That's English sterling. British sterling, sorry. I don't know what it'll be in other countries, I'm afraid. But as most of our listeners are, apart from one, we have had our first transatlantic
Woohoo!
Listener. Hello to you.
That's if you came back.
Yeah, if you came back, I really hope you did. So yeah, that comes in somewhere between 22 and 30, and it seems like it would run out really quickly, but like I said, the egg moves at so many different speeds, and it can be upgraded. You can take the little boy and the little girl out, so it makes it even harder still. You know, it can become really, really good. The next game I'm going to talk about is called Echidna Shuffle. Now this we played this one at the expo last year as well, with little one, and we've been playing it loads. It's one of my favourite games at the minute, not just to play with my kid, but actually I played it with some adults, and it becomes cutthroat. So I'll give you a little bit of the synopsis, and then we'll talk about it again. So it says, players move the 12 echidnas from leaf to leaf. Oh, if you don't know what an echidna is, it's kind of like a hedgehog, but it's got a long nose.
I'm gonna have to find a picture of it.
Yeah,
what is it called?
Echidna. My daughter calls it the hedgehog game because they do just look like hedgehogs.
What a funny looking little creature.
Oh, I know. They're cute though, right? So there's 12 of these echidnas on the board. They move from leaf to leaf. You pick up bugs of your colour from their pickup leaf, and you move them to your free matching stumps. But the forest floor is a traffic jam of echidnas, and you have to move them out the way before you can move yours. The first player to deliver 3 bugs wins. Now, as it says, you can move any of the 12 echidnas, whether they've got your bug on it or not. So the board itself has like a one-way system on some of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to follow the arrows around. So like when I was playing with adults, they could see I was really close to my stump. So they sent me back round the one-way system to get back to where you needed to go, you know? Yeah, so you can move any of them because like you can't go onto a leaf with another echidna in the way. So you have to move the echidnas out of the way to get through.
Onto that. Okay, so that could be quite frustrating.
Yeah, there's also 2 sides to the board. There's a summer and an autumn. The autumn side has a lot more one way about it. The winter side has a lot more. You can travel in multiple directions to get to different places. The game is played. You roll a dice, and then there's this little board. So the dice is from 2 to 7, and then you put your token on this board, and then you don't roll for your next turn. You just slide your token down the board. So if you roll a 2, on your next turn you get 7. So then if you roll a 7, on your next turn you get 2. Obviously there is a variant where you can just roll the dice every time, but that adds quite a nice little... So some kids not just rolling 2 all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and then it gets really boring because they can't move anything and somebody else is moving all of their stuff. Obviously, the downside of having to move other people's echidnas is you can end up putting their bugs onto echidnas, because as soon as an echidna lands on it, you put the bug on it. And as soon as that bug goes to their stump, even if you moved it or somebody else moved it, you have to put the bug on the stump. So it is really good fun. It's quite a nice little strategy game. Yeah, and it's just good fun to play. That one is between £21 and £35 is what I've found it for so far. I know there's another version of it coming out soon, which I played as well at the expo with the creators of the game. It's called Echidnas in a Sweet Shop or something like that.
I think I've heard of that.
Wait,
I think I might have seen it at the expo.
You collect sweets and put them in sweet jars in certain orders and all this kind of stuff. But that's not out yet, and I don't know when it's going to come out. So we're going to stick with Echidna Shuffle for now. So those are my 3. Mine aren't in any order. They're the 3 that I'd recommend if you've got a kid that's trying to get into board games, or if you're a board game parent and you can't think of a decent one to get them. Obviously, that's Mysterium Kids, Captain Echo's Treasure, Dodo, and Echidna Shuffle.
I think it's a good mix there, because you think about it, like Dodo is like colourful. It's very orientated to kids, as well. So I think that would be my pick from your list.
I'll try and get a picture of Echidna Shuffle up on the Instagram at some point.
Yes, we will post a picture of these games.
Dodo
we already have, but yeah.
Yeah, because it is very striking and the table presence is quite cool. The next category we're going to do, strategy games.
Oh, I do like a strategy game.
I haven't gone for heavy strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone for kind of lighter strategy. We spoke about one of these games last month. And I'm going to talk about the normal version of it, and that'll be Ticket to Ride. I
do like Ticket to Ride.
Just the standard one.
It's a great game. It's a really good game. We played Ticket to Ride. It's a really easy game. Really fun. I think family-wise, you can all be around the table, all feeling a little bit full after the Christmas meal, and put some trains down and see who can get the furthest.
Yeah, absolutely. So what Board Game Geek says about the game is players collect cards of various types of train cars. They then use them to claim railway routes in North America. The longer routes, the more points they earn. Additional points can come to those who fulfill destination tickets, which are gold cards, that connect distant cities, and to the player who builds the longest continuous route. That's the basic synopsis of the game. It basically covers everything that you go through. The original Ticket to Ride is set in North America. It only has trains in it, unlike the one we spoke about last week, which had boats as well. So it is a little bit more simple. What I like about Ticket to Ride is there are so many variations to this as well.
There's loads now. You got the mini game of London.
Yep.
You can play that within 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes.
And what I like about the other versions is they all add something different.
Yeah.
So like the London one, for instance, does have the London Underground in it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to do something different to get those. The rails and sails, you have to use boats and get harbours. The original Ticket to Ride, from what I've looked at, and on Board Game Price Checker, comes in at £17 to £30, so it's not overly expensive. I mean, if you go for the bigger one like Rails and Sails,
you're looking at like 50, 60 quid.
Yeah, it's a bit bigger, and then there is now a legacy version which we need to play.
Mm-hmm.
There's a legacy version, and that's coming in about £100. But that is big, and once you finish the legacy, it's then your own personalised version. So it doesn't just stop. You can then use it to play Ticket to Ride normally after you've built it.
That's really cool, but again, is it somewhere that where £100, or do you go for the £20 standalone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Version?
Like, for this Christmas guide, I'd recommend, if for anybody that's never played Ticket to Ride, go for the North American one, or if you live, I think there's a Nordic one where you can go
there's
through
Nordic,
Lapland.
there's an Austrian one, there's
China. So there are, if you live in different places or you've got more interest in other places, then do look at the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
The second strategy game is a personal favourite of mine. I've played this with my grandparents because they remember the original version of this game. This one is Escape to Colditz.
What's a game?
Escape from Colditz, should I say? Don't
Escape
escape to
from-
Colditz.
No, Escape from Colditz. The original must have came out 70s.
This version
maybe 80s.
is down as 1973. This version.
Wow.
So
It is an old game. I remember my parents having it as I was a kid. Up on top of their wardrobe, they had all their board games up there, and that was Colditz. And I was always kind of like, oh, what game is that? That looks like, why has that got a Nazi symbol on it? Because the original version had the swastika.
Yep.
And nowadays, you won't see that.
no, I think is it the Imperial Eagle now?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
That's what it looks like on your copy over there.
Yeah, it still has a Nazi firing a gun on it, but it's not as offensive as a swastika.
I think it was quite offensive, the original artwork.
One of the things I like about this version is the old rules are still in there. So for the
Mhm.
people that know the old rules, they are in there, and you
Big
can.
still play.
The nostalgia is there, but obviously it has been upgraded
Mhm.
recently. The synopsis of Escape for Colditz, anybody that doesn't know, it's a one versus many semi-cooperative game where one player is a security officer of the German forces. The others are escape officers of various nationalities, also known as prisoners of war. So I think there's like British, American, French, Polish.
Yeah.
I
Was there any Japan?
almost said Hollandish.
Dutch.
Dutch, that's the one. I couldn't remember it. So yeah, the other players play those. The escape officer has to try. So that's the people playing the prisoner of wars. Have to try and collect equipment for to make a successful escape. That can be a rope, some wire cutters. I think there's like a gate pass, keys, passports, that kind of stuff.
You should always watch The Great Escape, because that's always on at Christmas as well. So
It is very Christmassy. The security officer, the German, is trying to hinder them. So he will try and capture the prisoners of war, or the escape officers, as they're called in this, and they will confiscate their equipment, put them in solitary confinement, all that kind of stuff. There is a thing in there where if they're outside the walls and outside the fence, they can be shot. So you can end up losing some, but I think you can only do it like twice. I like this game quite a lot. I've only ever played as the Germans because everybody I'm playing it with, it's easier to teach the prisoner of war side. And it is really good, but what I like about the prisoner of war bit is as well, you can be greedy and get two of your guys out and then you win, or everybody can get one person out. Yeah, I like it because obviously there's more than one way to win. If everyone tries to get one person out at the start, which is how I recommend you play it, if you do play it, but then they start to really struggle, you can just go greedy and get another one of your guys out. Or if you feel like you're doing all the hard work, getting all the equipment, or distracting the guards or that kind of stuff. Because when a guard does catch a prisoner of war, they have to go back to the guard's office to be debriefed and all that kind of stuff. So you can be used to get rid of guards. This one is a little bit more on the more expensive side, but it is a longer game. This one's between £45 and £70. It's well worth it. I mean,
don't forget, like a lot of games as well, you can find on eBay, Vinted. Okay, you do run the risk of finding out that a game isn't complete. You might be missing a couple of pieces. But then again, you can get it for a fraction of the cost
Absolutely.
as well. So
Yeah, I mean, that was Escape from Colditz. It's good for those history nuts as well, I think. The next section we're going to talk about is party games. I've got 2 for this one, and these are games I class as party games. So anything over 3 players, well, 3 players plus or up to 8 players, that kind of stuff. My first one is One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
great game.
I love this game so much.
You can pick this up very, very cheaply. I've seen it for like £5.
Brand new, it's 16 to 28. It's still not bad.
It's not bad, but if you can find it secondhand like I have, go for it.
One Night Ultimate Werewolf is a fast game for 3 to 10 players in which everyone gets a role. One of the dastardly werewolves, a tricky troublemaker, a helpful seer. There are, I think there's 12 different types of characters. Each of them have a special ability, apart from a villager. They're just innocent bystander. In the course of a single morning, your village will decide who is a werewolf, because all it takes is lynching one werewolf to win. So how the game works actually has been made a lot easier over recent years because it's now app-based. So in recent years, you'd have to have somebody who did all the remembering of all the rules. So what happens is you get given your role, you have a look at it. It's always useful to have the rule book on the table so everybody can see exactly what they're supposed to do. And then everybody will close their eyes. And then in turn, people will wake up. So like the werewolves will wake up because if there's more, there can be more than one werewolf. Find out who the other werewolves are. And then everybody else wakes up in order. So like the seer can wake up and look at somebody else's card. Or there's some cards that are left in the middle and you can look at those. The troublemaker, I think, swaps cards. There's people that work with the werewolf that want the werewolf to win. There's one guy that just wants to die. He wants to be chosen. He's not a werewolf, he just wants to die. So he wins by being killed. And then once everyone's woken up in turn, everybody moves their card around a little bit because obviously it could be touched by other people. Then you get given, you can set an amount of time that you want. You get given an amount of time to work out and talk between yourselves of who you think is the werewolf. So if you're really good at bluffing, it's a great game for you. Even if you're not really good at bluffing, it can be a really good game for you. It's really good fun. It's really quick. I think we normally have like a time limit of 5 minutes to discuss. Any longer than that, and it just turns into an argument. Obviously, you don't need to take all that time. Because all the waking up at night only takes about 5 minutes as well. And then everyone points at the character at the same time who you want to kill. That person is then eliminated. If it's a villager, the werewolf wins, or like anybody that's not a werewolf. But if one of the werewolves dies, then the villagers win. Like I said, if there's 2 werewolves, only one needs to die. So that's Ultimate Werewolf. There are other versions of this game. There's one that has 127 roles, I think it is, and it can be played up to 76 people. So it is really...
That's where you pay a wedding.
Yeah, it is a really expansive game. Obviously, it is a lot like other types of games. All the names have escaped me right now. Donna Dinner Party's one, but that one's played over a series of nights. Like these kind of games are really good, but this is my favourite one. It's one I recommend to most people.
Mm-hmm.
As we said before, it's somewhere between £16 and £28.
Yeah, it's quite a cheap one.
My next one kind of covers a trivia game, and it is an older game. It's called Absolute Boulder Dash.
Can't say I've ever heard of it.
So, each turn, a card entry is read out, and every player writes down their own made-up answer. The hilarity really starts when all these phony answers are shuffled up with a real one and read aloud. Everyone then tries to pick which is correct. Players whose phony answers have been picked then get to move on the board. So here are some examples of some of the questions. So there are 5 categories. There's events, words, laws, initials, and people. Okay, so for instance, like the event one, this one, in Winton, in Queensland, Australia, every 2 years they hold a, and then everybody would have to write down their answer.
Mm-hmm.
But the person reading the question would write down what's on the card.
Would write down the correct answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then they shuffle all the answers together and read them out. Kind of like Cards Against Humanity.
Oh, okay.
Including the correct one. Then everybody votes for which one they want to choose.
Mm-hmm.
And then the correct answer gets read out. And then you score points for people's phony answers. This is where it gets a bit silly. So the correct answer to this question, in Winton, in Queensland, Australia, every 2 years they hold a Dunny Derby, where you pull someone while they're sitting on a toilet. Yeah?
That I'm confused. Why would you be in the same room as someone on the toilet?
Apparently in the Dunny Derby.
Australia's weird.
For the words category, you have to guess what the word is. So on this one, the word is ziti. That's Z-I-T-I. Any guesses what that means?
Not a clue. Not a clue.
Apparently it's a medium-sized hollow pasta.
It's always food with you.
Yeah. Laws, you just have to finish the sentence. So this one is, in the state of Arizona, it is illegal to refuse
Alcohol.
a person a glass of water.
Oh, close.
So that one's a little bit more sensible.
Yeah.
For initials, you get given the initials and you have to guess what it stands for. So this one is AVP. And I'll give you a clue. It's not Assistant Vice President.
AVP. No idea.
Association of Volleyball Professionals. And then the last category is people. So you get read the name. This one is Don J. Galassos. Or Galios. That's Gallegos. And you have to say why they're famous.
They were a painter or an architect.
They're an inventor of the guitarpa. A combo of a guitar, harp and violin.
I should know that,
So
seeing as it was a music one.
That's how it plays. Obviously, everyone writes down silly answers because everyone writes down sensible answers for the first couple of questions, and then when you get the actual answer, you go, "Oh, is that what it actually is?"
Is that what it actually is? I mean, that sounds a very that's a Christmas Day or Boxing Day evening once all the wine's been drank kind of game.
It says a family game for 4 to 20 players because you can play in teams. Or
I don't think I have 20 people in my family.
We've played it once with loads of people, hence the reason I have had to reprint scoreboards, which were really hard to find. This is the version by Drummond Park. Just in case people are wondering, there are other versions, and this was re-released in 2007, I think, this version. But yeah, that's Absolute Boulder
That was Absolute Boulder Dash.
This is somewhere between 20 and 60. The £60 one is because somebody just thinks it's a collectible item. It's still in seal, all that kind of stuff. You can still get it for like £20 brand new. There are a lot of these floating around second hand.
I'd say this is a second-hand game which you're going to pick up for a few quid, I would imagine.
Yeah. Like I said, it is really good fun to play, like you said, on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
The next section we're going to do is card games.
I love a card game.
And we're not talking Magic or not trading card.
Oh.
I'm talking games based on cards. Well, the mechanic is mainly cards, should we say. So
I hope you have what I hope you've got on there.
We'll see. I've spoken about one of these before.
Yes.
The first one I'm going to say is Flux.
Great game.
We played Flux.
We played the pirate
Pirate one,
didn't we?
This is another one that has loads of variants.
Yes. I want to get the Monty Python.
The Monty Python one is good fun. I've got the Cthulhu one, which is really good. That adds a little bit.
Zombies.
Zombies.
There's standards as well.
The synopsis of this one is, at the start of the game, each player holds 3 cards, and on a turn they draw 1 card and play 1 card. By playing cards, you can put new rules into play that change numerous aspects of the game. That could be how many cards you draw or play, how many cards you can hold in your hand or keep on the table in front of you, or how you win the game. So the game is won when you complete a goal card. So throughout the game, you can play these cards called keepers. You put them in front of you, they're your cards. People can steal them and all that kind of stuff. But if you have the 2 cards in front of you, so like we had a goal card called Curse of the Black Pearl. So if you had the boat Curse of the Black Pearl and the Cursed Treasure in front of you, you then win the game. No matter who plays that card, you've got those 2 cards in front of you, you win the game.
I feel like when we played, I had cards that I didn't even know won me the game.
Oh no, I would have told you if you won the game.
I know I had a couple that I just needed one more.
Yeah, there's loads of that. It's so bad. And I know I think in every version there's one where you collect up all the keepers, shuffle them and then re-deal them out. So like in Cthulhu and Zombies, you get creepers as well. And they stop you from winning or cause bad things to happen, all this kind of stuff. It's a really quick game sometimes. Most of the time it's really quick. Other times it isn't. But the rules change constantly. It's good fun. It's good, like I said, it's got so many different variants of this as well. This one retails between £15 and £26. I've seen it on, is it Vinted, for like a £5.
Yep. Second-hand sites again. Okay, the cards aren't going to be in great condition. Maybe you might get lucky and someone's got game they've never played, don't really know much about it. No, I picked up Pandemic off that website the other day for like £6, £7, brand new, sealed.
Absolutely, it is out there.
So there are bargains out there. You just got to look around for them.
So that was Flux. The next game we're going to talk about is Munchkin. Munchkin is a satirical card game based on the cliches and oddities of Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games. Each player starts at level 1, and the winner is the first player to reach level 10. Players will acquire familiar D&D style character classes during the game, which determine some of the extent of the cards that they can play. There are 2 types of cards, treasures and encounters. Each turn, the current player kicks down the door, drawing an encounter card from the deck. Usually, it will involve battling a monster. Monsters have their own levels, and players must try to overcome them using the levels, weapons, and powers they have acquired during the game. Or they have to run away. Other players can choose to help the player or hinder them. Defeating a monster will usually result in drawing treasure cards and acquiring levels. Being defeated by a monster results in bad stuff, usually involving losing a level, or treasure, or outright dying. So that's what Board Game Geek says about the game. Now, I'll simplify that. Simplify that a little bit for everyone. So basically what you do is you build a character out of cards. So you've got 2 hands, a head, a body, and your feet. And then you get a race and a class. So there are things like the kneecaps of alluring, which is an item. You can get chainsaws and axes and swords of all different types. And these help build your level. So you start at level 1, and a sword might give you +2 to your level. So then if you fight a level 3 or a level 2 monster, you can then defeat them and stuff like that. So you go up levels by defeating monsters or playing go up per level cards, which tend to be in the treasures. And it is just really good fun. It's I think it's 3 to 6 at base level game. But there's so many expansions, so many different versions. I mean, on my shelf, I have 3 versions.
4. Oh no, sorry, that's code names.
They look the same.
They do.
So I've got Munchkin Cthulhu, because as you've probably worked out throughout these last 3 episodes, I like Cthulhu. I have a Nightmare Before Christmas version, and I have the Mighty 9 Critical Role version. They all add something different. The basic one is based on D&D and Pathfinder and stuff like that. Like there's a Duck of Doom and bits like that. But like in the Nightmare Before Christmas one, you have to fight Oogie Boogie and all the others and all that kind of stuff just to win.
This is Halloween.
And it's
This is Halloween. Halloween. Halloween.
It's literally get to level 10. If somebody gets close to level 10 and they've got to beat a monster that goes level 10, I can guarantee everyone's going to try and do them over. Plus 10 to monster, spawn a new monster, put a brick wall up so they can't fight the monster. You know, it is quite a fun little game. It can take ages sometimes, but you can't really tell. It's really fun to play. There is a PC version of this as well, which is quite cool if you are on your own or if there's two of you. It's quite hard to play two of you playing it. So that was Munchkin. That one retails between £20 and £30 for the base game. Like I said, there are so many different versions. There's Munchkin Oz, Munchkin Good, Bad and the Ugly, Batman. There's Marvel ones. You know, there's so many different versions of it out there. This is a Steve Jackson game as well, so they're quite popular in the world that I've seen anyway. The last card game I'm going to talk about, I've already spoken about on this podcast. I spoke about it last week. That'd be Villainous. Mainly Disney Villainous, but there are other versions out there. There's Marvel and Star Wars. The synopsis that Board Game Geek give you, each player takes control of one of the 6 Disney characters, each one a villain in a different Disney movie. Each player has their own villain deck, fate deck, player board, and 3D character piece. On a turn, the active player moves their character to a different location on their player board, takes one or more of the actions visible on the space, then refills their hand to 4 cards, and they just have to find their unique win condition. What I like about this game is every villain has a different way of winning. And each villain comes with its own help guide to help you find out which cards are useful to use, which ones aren't useful. Could you have like a fate deck that affects you that other players play on you? So, for instance, if you're playing Hades, you have to try and get Hades isn't in the base game. But if you're playing somebody like Hades, you have to get 3 Titans to Mount Olympus. But somebody could come along and play Hercules down, and then that stops all of the Titans from moving, or the Titan at his location from moving, stuff like that. But like Prince John, who's in the base game, just needs 10 power. But obviously, it takes him a little while to get that, and people notice when you've got 10 power or not. He is the easiest one to play as, but also if people are aware, then he's one of the harder ones. There are loads of expansions for this. Did we put a photo up of this? I think we did.
Yeah, we got a photo up of it with the collection that is currently available to us.
Yes, I think that's every available.
I think
one
so.
for Disney.
I think it is full for Disney. I don't think everything for Marvel.
I'm missing 2 expansions for Marvel.
Yeah,
and 1 expansion for Star Wars.
But the expansions aren't that expensive. So
No, I mean, even the base game was $28 to $50. The only reason it's £50 is because it's out of print.
It's currently £24 on Amazon.
Yeah, so in the Black Friday sale.
And then some of the extensions, Ravensburg are actually signing for £18.
Yep.
So, no, £18 is a good price for an expansion when usually places will put the price up for their expansions.
And the expansion is quite good. I've got expansions normally come with 3 players. The latest one came with 2, but I do have the one that has 1. Mm-hmm. Those characters just tend to be a bit bigger, a bit more popular. Obviously, they're cashing in on that. Yep. Oogie Boogie is the single character for this. I think for the Marvel one, there's a Venom, who is a lone character as well. But they do add something to the game. Like I said, different villain. They need to do different things. The balance can be off. That is the only con to this game. if you're playing somebody like Captain Hook, they need to achieve a lot more than Prince John, but that's just about looking at what they're doing. You can hinder them to slow them down and that stuff. And once again, it is a card drawing game.
Mm-hmm.
So if your cards are shuffled in a certain way, then it's going to be a bit easier to do. Everyone we've played that with really likes it. That I've played it with anyway really likes it. Obviously, it's not everyone's taste, but that is, if you've got a Disney fan who likes playing card games and doesn't want to collect Lorcana because that becomes very expensive, Villainous is...
It's definitely up there. I think it's a game that I'd love to get into and play, because you know that my preference is more card-based games.
Yep.
But I know I'd spend every single penny I've got on Villainous, which isn't a good thing.
No, it's not.
I'm surprised you didn't say the game I was
what was the game you were thinking?
Hellboy the dice game.
Oh, no, yeah. That's because that's a dice game.
But it's also a card game. It's got cards.
Yeah, but it's got dice in it. A card game is literally just cards. I mean, there are dice in Munchkin, but they're the runaway dice. And you don't use them very often. The rest of it is just cards. So that's kind of what I based it on. I understand what you mean, but it's more that one. Going to move swiftly on to the next one. This is detective games. I've played 2 of these, and I have a different version of one of them, which you can't buy anymore. So, which is why I'm not talking about that one. The first game I'm going to talk about is Betrayal at the House on the Hill.
Now, there's a few editions of this, isn't there?
This one I'm going to talk about is the 3rd edition.
Which I think is the most recent.
Yes, the newest one. It's just been a bit more streamlined than the others. So this is a cooperative board game. It includes 50 haunts and dozens of dangerous rooms. Dozens of dangerous rooms. At first, you'll work together to explore the house and find clues about the haunt that you're doing. And every time you reveal, there's omen cards, so they're not good things. You might find a crow, or a cursed statue. You then have to roll dice. If you hit the number you need to hit, I think it's 5. The dice only have blank 1 and 2 on them anyway. For every omen you get, you roll an extra dice. And when you get it, then the haunt starts. Now, this is where the game for me gets really interesting. Like I said, it's semi-cooperative, but the start of the game is fully cooperative. When the haunt starts, you then get told if there's a villain, if you need to work in teams, or if it stays cooperative. So I've done it before. I was playing. We got all the way to the haunt. I had all of the clues, and I became the villain. So it became a lot harder for everybody else. So it is quite a nice thing to have. It keeps you the suspense there and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, there's 50 haunts. It's really easy to play. It's basically draw a tile, move around, collect cards, and then try and finish the haunt. Another good thing about this is the price for the amount of game you get. It's £32 to £50.
And I've seen it brand new on Vinted for 18 quid.
Yeah.
So it can be very, very, very cheap.
It's a very good game. Like I said, it's something different for people as well. The next one is one of my favourite games of all time. We played it for the first time at Thirsty Meeples with our friends and haven't looked back since. I bought it there and then on the spot. It then went out of print and became really hard to find. But as I'm talking about it now, you'll know that it's back in print. This is Letters from Whitechapel. It's a Jack the Ripper game. So the synopsis of this is: one player plays Jack the Ripper, and his goal is to take 5 victims before getting caught, or not getting caught at all. The other players are police detectives who must cooperate to catch Jack the Ripper before the end of the game. That's basically the synopsis of the game. I'm not going to read the rest of what it says because it doesn't make much sense to me. But what happens is Jack the Ripper moves around the board unseen. So the board is on the table, and there are numbered circles and blacked out squares all over the board. So Jack moves via the numbered circles. but he writes them down on a piece of paper behind a shield that he's given, so nobody else knows where he is. The policemen move around on the black squares, so there are parts where the policemen move way quicker than Jack does, and there's some parts where Jack moves a hell of a lot quicker than a policeman does. Most people go, oh yeah, but then Jack can go somewhere different every night. No, Jack the Ripper has to return to the same numbered circle at the end of every night, and he only has a certain amount of time to do it. So there's only a certain amount of turns in the game for each night. So at the start of the game, Jack will choose where his base is. So as the nights go on, obviously it gets harder because the police start to kind of see where Jack is going. So the police move around. They can ask if there's clues on the spot. So if Jack's been to that square, at that circle that night, they have to put a clue token down. Jack does have a few special powers. He can jump into carriages, or he can use alleyways and stuff like that. But the basic premise of the game is to catch Jack before he escapes on the 5th night. What I like about the game is on the 3rd night, Jack gets to kill 2 of the wretched, as they're called in this game. And that kind of splits up the police a little bit, because you can kill 2 on different sides of the board, and they kind of have to work out where they are. I've played this game loads, and with so many different types of people.
We were going to play it the other night, weren't we?
Yeah.
And we never got around to it, unfortunately.
It is on the longer side, but it's incredible. It is playable 2-player, and I think it's up to 6. We played it 12 players, where each policeman was represented by 2 people, and Jack was represented by 2 people. I don't recommend. Too many cooks.
Sounds it.
This comes in at 36 to 52, brand new. I think this is the 2nd edition. It is now. This is a Fantasy Flight game. But like I said, it is really good. Anybody that's interested in Jack the Ripper as well, it's got the printings of the original letters as part of a small expansion. Then there is another expansion as well. But that's a very good game, and everyone we play it with really enjoys it. So that was Letters from Whitechapel. The last one I'm going to talk about is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. Now, this is very different to any of the other games we've spoken about so far, as in there is no board, there are no cards, and you're going to need a pen and paper. So
like D&D back in the day.
Yeah, mate. So the synopsis that Board Game Geek gives us is in Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, you are presented with a mystery to solve, and it is then up to you to trace the threads of evidence through the byways and mansions of 19th century London. You will interview suspects, search the newspapers, and put together the facts to reach a solution. So there's basically, you get given a book, it reads out the case. You've then got access to pictures, newspapers. In the book, there's another book of like suspects as well that you can talk to, and they've got bits in there. And then you basically have to piece it together to get the answer. Obviously, the replayability isn't great, but there are, I think there's 12 cases in the original one.
So it could last you a year if you do it once a month, but to me, I'm kind of struggling with the concept of it hasn't got a board. How's it a board game?
Well, yeah, it's a game.
It's a game, but it's not a board game.
It's a detective game.
Here we go. Let's have a vote. Let us know in the comments if you think it's a board game or it's not a board game.
That's Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective.
What makes a board game? Obviously, head over to Instagram as well. We'll post a picture of this game on Instagram, and then you can sound off over there what you think.
This one averages £35 to £48
for a piece of paper and a pen.
No, not for a piece of paper and a pen. For the casebook, the evidence, all that kind of stuff. It is quite clever on how it's played.
We'll have a look after this. I'm really struggling to be convinced of this game.
It's rated very highly, and anybody I know who's ever played it loves it. One of those people who has bought it is Lordy. I don't know if he ever played it. But, you know, it's one of those, it's really highly recommended. The version I've got is a Cthulhu version, of course. And I think we've played it 2 or 3 times, and it does really work your brain. You do feel like a bit like a detective, so it's quite nice,
Okay.
quite immersive. That's why it's on the list. Right, the last category, because I know we're droning on a little bit.
The drone of worms.
This is big box games, and unfortunately, big box does mean big money.
Big money.
So this is.
I know exactly what's going to be on this.
Most people will, I think, when we get to big box games. So if you're a group of people that want to play, you've got a group of people and you want to play a big game or a good game, or like you and your wife want a new game and you've got a little bit of money to spend on each other, this is the section. We're going to get the obvious one out of the way.
Gloomhaven?
Gloomhaven is number 1 on my top 10 games of all time. Me and 3 others chipped in each for it, split it 4 ways, and we've got 400 hours into this game. The box is massive, but don't be deterred by the size. The game is
size matters. That's what they say.
Yeah. So this game is really good. The synopsis is huge on this. It's basically a dungeon crawler. When you think of Elder Scrolls or something like that kind of game, at the start of the game, there are 6 available characters to you. And as you go through and retire your character, you unlock new places, new characters, and advance the story. Originally, it was designed as a one and done. Like I said, 400 hours into this. We are. Lockdown helped loads, and we played on Tabletop Simulator. Obviously, made the box slightly redundant, but also we will be doing an episode on Gloomhaven and Frosthaven.
Yep.
I'm going to get it out the way now. The cheapest I've found it is £90. The most expensive I've found it is £190. Obviously, there are more expensive versions out there. It's currently going through another print run. There are expansions.
Amazon have it for £118.
Yes. I think it was Zatu had it for 90, but as you probably know, it's sold out. I can't recommend this game enough. It's really good. If you've got a regular game of a group of 4 people, this game is really good. If you don't want to take the plunge and don't want to buy the big box straight away, there is Jaws of the Lion, which is a small starter version of it. That's 36 to 62. That's a really good lead into this if you don't want to take the plunge and pay that amount of money outright. Thoroughly recommend it. You get to really invest in a character. You know, you've got a deck of cards. I should probably tell you how it plays. So every turn you choose 2 cards out of your deck. You use a top action and a bottom action on each card. They can be moves, attacks, magic, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there are no dice in this game. It's really hard for people to comprehend a game without dice. But there are so many different cards, so many different concepts. I'm not going to go into it too much because we are going to talk about it later on. But even if you just go and look it up, please do. It's incredible. There's a computer game version of it as well, which plays exactly the same for the people that don't want to buy the board game. But I thoroughly recommend Gloomhaven. The next big box game I don't own myself, but one of my group do. It's called Rising Sun. It is a Simon game. It's a game for 3 to 5 players set in legendary feudal Japan. Each player chooses a clan and competes to lead theirs to victory by accumulating victory points over the course of the seasons. Each clan is different, so you have like the Bonsai, there's a Dragonfly clan, and it's Risk-like. We played Ankh last week. We're going to be talking about Ankh in the next episode. It's part of a trio of games. So Ankh, Rising Sun, and Blood Rage are like a trio of games that are similar, but not exactly the same. So in Rising Sun, it's Japanese culture. Mm-hmm. There's obviously 4 seasons. You play through them. At the end of each season, there's war. So if there's more than 2 people in a territory, more than one person in a territory, they fight. But you can go shopping. So you can pick up Oni, dragons, a tree of woe, I think it is. There's like a spider lady, all creatures from Japanese lore, to bolster your army, and then basically it turns into risk. You want to take over the most places that you can to earn victory points. It includes honor, like if you use Oni, you get dishonor, because they're demons, obviously. If you didn't know, it's demons. So it is quite a good game for those kind of people. It's strategy. People are going to gasp when I tell you what the price goes up to, but that's because the full price is for everything they've ever made for the game.
If you go for the whole thing, go for the miniatures, go for the board, get
Neoprene mat,
yeah,
metal coins, instead of little cardboard tokens for your temples, like for the...
You've got little miniature temples, haven't you, and things like that.
Certain clans have different ones as well, like there's a like little turtles, kind of like Discworld with the temple on the back.
Mm-hmm.
This varies from £55 to £320.
Which is still cheaper than some games.
It is. But that is for everything. Absolutely everything. The game is still incredible. All base and all that kind of stuff. That's £55 I found it for. It's very pretty. The artwork is incredible. The table presence is amazing. And it's not too hard to learn. So that's Rising Sun. The last one is a game that we need to get to the table. Once again, I don't own it, but my friend does. It's Nemesis. Nemesis is a sci-fi game. You take over one of the crew members on a ship, and you get 2 objectives. When the first invader comes onto the ship, spoiler alert, there are aliens, you have to then choose which one of those objectives you're going to do. So it could be that player 3 cannot survive. Right? It could be that you need to send a signal and the ship needs to reach Earth. Little bits like that. Mm-hmm. Now, for any of those, like if player 3 can't survive or any of the other ones like that, the ship still has to reach Earth. So you have to make sure the engines are working. You have to make sure you've set the right coordinates. You know, you have to make sure that you don't get overrun by aliens or blown up by fire, all this kind of stuff. So you basically take turns moving through. Each player has a specialised deck of cards that you use. As you move around, you make noise, which attracts the aliens. There are loads of different types of aliens. And yeah, it just becomes really good. The good thing about it, obviously, it is an elimination game. So if you die, you die. But the first person to die does then become the alien. So the alien becomes less automatous and more difficult to play against because you turn into the aliens, which obviously adds to the player count as well, because if there's too many players, one player can just play as the aliens. Once again, it's in my top 10 of games of all time.
I think we should play it.
It's really good. It's on the longer side. Once again, it's not cheap, I'm afraid, but I did give that disclaimer at the start. This is between 85 and 126. Once again, the 126 includes like miniatures of the doors, neoprene mat, metal coins, all that kind of stuff. All the upgrades. I think the base game is £85 with all cardboard stuff, but the game is big. It's double-sided board, all that kind of stuff. So it is quite good in that way. Obviously, all the different objective cards make it different as well. So that's Nemesis.
It looks a good game, like having a look.
It's amazing. Once again, table presence is
table
insane.
Presence looks incredible with the miniatures. It looks.
That's an Awakened Realms game. Their miniatures are incredible on all their games.
Yeah, looks really, really good.
I have one more game to talk about that I recommend to anybody. And if anybody says, what game should I buy for this person? This is always the answer. Art Nova.
Definitely.
There are 100%. A lot of people who will back me on this one. It's a zoo building game. You have to build a zoo, but you have to be as ethical as possible. So it's all about being not conservative. What's the word? Conservational. So you've got an entertainment marker and a conservation marker, and they have to cross for the game to end. So you can't just go big ticket animals all the way around, because if all you've got is tigers, lions, bears, you're not going to be as ethical with your animals and all that kind of stuff. So there's a really nice balance. It is a bigger game again, but it's just incredible to look at. The artwork on the cards is incredible. It is just pictures of animals, so it must be true. But the ones they use are really pretty. Anybody that likes building games, anybody that likes animals, this is a game for you. There is an expansion that adds more water stuff. You can get different types of maps and all that. But yeah, Art Nova, it's somewhere between 40 and 96.
It's a very, very popular game.
Very popular game.
Very popular.
And yeah, that's just another one to throw in there. Just before we wrap up, it wouldn't be an episode of the Tome of Worms without Pop's quiz. I'm going to tell you now that is the new noise we're going to use for this segment. Are you ready, Pops?
Yes.
Okay, today questions are a little bit different.
All right.
The first one. Also, let us know what score you get. Play along at home. Please just let us know on Instagram, on comment down below. Just let us know how you do, and if you think you can do better than Pops.
It's not difficult, is it? Let's be honest.
Right. Question 1.
Ooh.
In Cluedo, how many weapons are there?
6.
There are 6. Do you know what they are? I'll tell you. It's easier. Candlestick, revolver, dagger, lead piping, rope, and wrench. 6. Well done. That's good.
That's not a bad guess, was it?
Question 2. Which tabletop role-playing game was first published in 1974 and was originally designed by David Arneso and Gary Gygax?
Dungeons and Dragons.
It is indeed.
That was quite an easy one, let's be honest.
Yeah. That was a
so
lot easier.
it's his 50th anniversary this year, so.
Mm-hmm. In battleships,
Oh.
how many ships does a player start with?
5.
It is 5. I've gone a bit easier on you this week.
You
haven't
have. Or you're just doing really old games for people like me.
I didn't want to go games that you didn't know.
Yeah, all right.
So, in Risk, how many continents are on the game board?
6.
6 is correct. North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia. And it says Australia.
Australasia, I think that should
now, yeah. Right, your last question of the day.
be. Can I get a clean sweep?
What was the first board game played in space? A small clue for you. Not very practical in space.
Chess?
Scrabble.
Yeah, that's definitely not very practical, is it?
No, absolutely not.
Oh well, I didn't do too badly this week.
4 out of 5, mate. Not bad.
That's probably my best going so far.
Next week's Pops quiz is very different, so we'll look forward to that one. Yeah, please let us know how you got on, if you beat Pops, if you thought the questions were too easy, and obviously recommend some questions if you like. So that was our buyer's guide, shall we say?
Yeah.
Please give us any feedback on our podcast on this episode as well. If you want us to do more buyer's guides throughout the year, please follow us on Instagram. It's tome_of_worms_pod. On there, there's a link to our merch page. We hit 300
We did.
followers
We
on Instagram, which is amazing.
Yeah, really, really, really good. Really good engagement on there. Let us know what you've been buying as well. Use Tone of Worms hashtag.
Yeah, please interact with us on there. I think we're going to start putting some polls, some questions, some other bits on there. Try and introduce a new segment that Pops wants to do. So keep your eyes open for that. Please follow us on Spotify. and give us a rating. It really helps our exposure. And please tell everybody about it. If you like it, please tell people what it is and all that kind of stuff. If you don't like it, please tell your friends that you do like it.
Yeah, please.
And thank you for listening this week.
Ta-ra.